everyone. Thank you for joining us. Welcome to our CEC District 25 April meeting. Hope everyone is doing well. I'd like to start with the roll call, please. Carly?
Joseph D. Benedetto.
Present.
Victor Lee.
Present.
Anne Marie Knable.
Present.
Christine Caniglio.
Present.
Edward Kim.
Present.
Monica Patino, she may not be coming. She's not feeling too good. Rashni Krishnaraj, not here yet. Akila will be running late. Lilik Vijayanti. And Brooke Sturgeon.
Present.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 members present. So we do have a quorum, and we can move forward in terms of reviewing the minutes from our March meeting and voting on or entertaining any motions to approve. So if Carly, if you don't mind, they're up already?
Can you see it?
Yeah, I
Okay.
see it.
Oh, it was so
Can
good.
everyone see it on the board?
Tell me when to, move up.
You can scroll.
These are all the resolutions.
Okay. Stop. Do I hear any motions to approve?
Joe, I want to make a motion to approve.
Okay, so Victor Lee made the motion to approve,
I second it.
Thank
and
you.
Brooke seconded motion. So the minutes for the the March 2021 meeting are hereby approved. And I'm going to move on and give you my report before we get on to our presentation this evening, which deals with fair student funding report. Superintendent, are you here?
Yeah, I'm here.
I didn't see you.
Hi,
Oh, there you
everyone.
are. Good evening. Good to see you.
You too.
Okay. So a couple of things I wanted to touch on from our last meeting and what was in the minutes. And Superintendent, you can elaborate further during your report if you'd like. But I am told that the period for the extended, the period to blended, to opt in on the blended portion of our schools has been extended through Friday, April 9th. Is that correct?
Correct.
Perfect. So if anyone is opting to have their child return to school under the blended program, you need to notify your school on or before Friday, April 9th. And then we will await further instruction as to what is to happen on that regard, correct? We also heard from our mayor that there may be changes to the 2-case ruling regarding school closures with the COVID, and we await further instruction, and I believe the plan has not been rolled out yet other than the statement made by our mayor. Again, Superintendent, correct me if I'm wrong. We're awaiting further guidance on that, correct?
Correct.
Perfect. Our town hall with Chancellor Misha Ross Porter is now scheduled for May 18th. We've confirmed with the Chancellor, and that will take place next month. We don't know if our calendar meeting will occur because we originally were supposed to meet the first Wednesday of every month. And when we went through the calendar, we realized that May 5th was Cinco de Mayo, and then we agreed to make our meeting on the 12th, and we just realized it is a Muslim holiday. So I don't know if we're able to meet on that day. We await further guidance before this meeting is concluded. I hope to have some information about our May calendar meeting. But I'm told that we will have a calendar meeting in addition to the Chancellor's Town Hall, unless we vote otherwise. Okay? Perfect. Now, District 24 and District 30 were concerned about enrollment numbers and changes in the enrollment numbers because apparently in comparison to the prior years, the enrollment in those districts have decreased. And I had asked our superintendent to give us a report of our enrollment numbers and also realized that there is a change from 2020 to 2021 of about 3% overall on the K through 12 level, right? So we have a decrease of 12% of our students from K through 12 in comparison to the prior year. And the decrease is 4% decrease in K through 5 and a 2% decrease in 6 to 8. And compared to the other years is usually a 1% decrease. So something for us to look at. I know the pandemic has affected enrollment. I know there are a lot of remote students. I'm not sure if people have moved or you know, what the issues are, but it's something that our district and District 24 and District 30 are looking at in terms of enrollment. I also want to give a shout out to our subcommittee who has met regarding the special education and special needs. We did have a meeting in February, as you know, and this CEC did not vote on to the petition that was sent out citywide, but it does not by any means show that we do not respect special needs. And we are always in favor of supporting our special needs community. In fact, the Queens North Borough Office has issued Empowering Parents Workshop Series for this month, and I encourage you to attend. There are a number of workshops that are made available through Queens North. And Carly, if anybody would like to know about the details, I think you can distribute that to the community. But such workshops include the IEP process from grades K through 12, scheduled for April 13th or April 22nd, strengthening reading comprehension skills at home for grades K through 5, perfect, from April 15th or April 27th, transition planning for families, it's on the board here, empowering your child during the IEP process, Queens North supports you to move forward. So these are wonderful programs and workshops that are provided to us by Queens North, and I believe they are in line with our special needs subcommittee. I'm going to, when we discuss new business, have someone from special needs subcommittee report to us on new changes or what's on the agenda before we finish our term here. Okay.
I also just want to add that all this flyer in English and in other languages is available. If you click on the link I put in the chat for all the meeting documents, there's a folder for the workshop, and you'll find all of this, all these flyers in English and other languages that you can share. And you don't have to write any of this stuff down. You can just download the flyer to your computer.
Perfect. Thank you, Louis.
Yeah, you
Appreciate
got it.
that. If anyone has any questions, you can always reach out to our office and
Mhm.
we will help you register. In terms of SCA improvements, we had submitted our recommendations to SCA. I'm proud to report back to you that I was informed by SCA that they have an elevator upgrade project at JHS 237, which is in the works, and that project is scheduled to be completed by December 2022. So we appreciate SCA and we appreciate everyone's cooperation in that project. Having said that, I'm going to conclude my report. And Superintendent, I'm not sure if you want to give your report first before presenting this evening's presentation. It's up
Yes.
to you.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
So, and we're going to go over, I'm going to just review a couple of things that Mr. Di Benedetto also had mentioned. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is I'd like to thank our Queens North Borough Office partners and their special education team. And I do encourage all parents to register for the Empowering Parent Workshop Series. I do want to thank the Special Education Subcommittee and the work that we've done together in order to further partner with Queens North and the work that happens with our executive superintendent. It kind of brought me back to some of the work that I did with principals, and a few years ago, I was asked to work with two other of my colleagues and superintendents to really come together to focus on how we can all work together to ensure that our schools, our students, and our communities work together to focus on meeting the needs of our students. So I just wanted to say, it reminded me of a book that we presented called Together is Better. And I really do believe that the work that the Special Education Committee is doing is really bringing together the needs of District 25. I definitely also believe that the Queens North Borough Office heard you and heard your vision around empowering parents through the special education process. So I want to thank you for that. And we're going to continue to do this work together to ensure that our communities get what they need around the work that you're doing. And it really is a pleasure to work with you and the other subcommittees that we work with and the CEC as a whole. So I just want to say thank you for that. Okay. So just in terms of enrollment, so kindergarten offers will be emailed to families from esenrollment@schools.nyc.gov. So if you applied for kindergarten, please look for that email starting April 8th. Hard copies will also be mailed to families later in the month. Apply to pre-K for children born in 2017 by the extended deadline of April 19th. Apply to gifted and talented programs for children born in 2016 by April 9th. And apply to 3K for children born in 2018 by May 28th. Just for our community to know that I did have a meeting with the pre-K office, and we will be having, and I'm excited to say that we will be having some 3K sections in our district. We don't know how many, but they are working very closely with myself and my team to ensure that the placement of 3K is going to be in spaces for where there are applications for the program, and also in spaces where it will not hinder any of the overcrowding that we have been speaking about at these meetings as well. So they're looking very closely at space. And I offered some suggestions, and they had the same suggestions as well, just in terms of reviewing space. So we're really excited to welcome, and I always say that pre-K is our youngest learners, but now our youngest learners to our district. So please apply by May 28th if you are interested in 3K. New state testing process for grades 3 to 8. So this year, many of our students are learning remotely. But the New York State Education Department has required that exams must take place in person in the school building. Assessments will be administered in person at your child's school to students who would like to participate. Schools will conduct outreach to all families, and I know that many of them already have. So if you've received communication from your school, please respond to it on whether you would like your child to participate in this year's state exam, so that schools can prepare and create a testing schedule that ensures the health and safety of all of our students. The 2021 Student Participation Guide includes helpful information to help answer questions about this spring's test in grades 3 through 8. And Louis, I see that you, can you put that link in the chat?
Yep, I'm doing it right now.
Thank you. The New York State ELA and math exams are normally administered in 2 separate sessions over a 2-day period. This year, all schools will administer only session 1, which is the multiple choice. This session includes, I said multiple choice only, and will be administered on any of the days within the following windows. ELA is April 19th through the 29th. Math is May 3rd through the 14th, and science grades 4 through 8 is June 7th through the 11th. Your child's school will schedule the exams within the windows above and notify you in advance of the test date and time. Testing will not occur on May 13th when schools are closed for Eid. Learning preference surveys, as Joe has said, to switch to in-person learning, complete the online survey by the extended deadline of Friday, April 9th. That is very important. If you want to move from remote to in-person learning, please make sure that you have done that. Don't forget to provide the consent form to participate in random COVID-19 testing. As Joe has asked to announce our school closure case map for COVID-19, we have 1 school closed for a 24-hour investigation, and that is PSMS 219. The DOE has updated the questions on the daily health screening questionnaire to reflect the latest guidance on quarantine requirements for domestic travel. As of April 1st, New York State residents do not need to quarantine following domestic travel, US, the District of Columbia, and Puerto Rico. However, all individuals traveling internationally must follow current CDC guidelines for returning to the United States. This includes showing documentation of having recovered from COVID-19 within the previous 3 months, or a negative COVID-19 test that is no more than 3 days before boarding a flight to return to US. And after arrival in the US, travelers must either quarantine for 7 days and take a COVID-19 test 3 to 5 days after travel, or quarantine for the full 10 days without a test. The above quarantine requirements apply to all international travelers entering the United States, whether they were tested before boarding, have recovered from a previous COVID-19, or are fully vaccinated. Okay, so before we go on to our budget presentation, does anyone have any questions or concerns for me? I see Effie's question. Effie, that is a good question. We've escalated that question today, and your school will notify you. Any other questions? Okay.
I have a question, Danielle, sorry.
Yep.
So I know that the schools are saying that these state exams will not be used against the students. But, some parents are concerned. They're saying, well, what if my child scores really low? I mean, is that something that would stay on that student's record? Does it even show up on his records, or is it something that just the schools use for their own purposes?
So these year's state exams will be not used for any other purpose than to support student learning as we engage in preparation for the fall. Right. So one of the things that we've spoken about consistently as a district is, and Dr. D'Antona and I presented this last month, is the work that we've done in using screeners to assess student learning loss, or to assess students' current learning needs. And the state exams will be used for the same reason. As we prepare during the summer and for the fall, we're going to look very closely at students' work and how it relates to standards. And remember what we talk about in terms of state standards, where a child is, in an expectation to meet standards in preparation for the following grade. So what we do know, because of the pandemic, that there was some learning loss, and that learning loss is because of the time frame that not all standards were addressed. So we're going to look to see where our students are in regards to these standards and what each individual school will need to focus on in order to meet the needs of the school as a whole, individual grades, individual classes, and individual students. That is what the plans are to use that test for.
So the question is geared more towards the students' records, right? So I know, is this going to have any effect on the high school admissions? Because certain high schools look at the test scores when it comes to admissions. So I think the parents are concerned, whether or not to opt to have their child take the exam, if it's going to show up on that child's records, which could negatively impact that child's admissions
So
in high school.
I will ask around whether or not it shows up on the child's records. And academic policy will be able to answer that question. We'll get back to you on that. But remember, what we were saying is that right now schools have to be, students have to be in the building in order to take the test. As a district, we are at 62% fully remote. So I can't imagine, there may be some parents who are choosing to send their students into schools and to take the test, and the parents that are fully remote, it's really important that they communicate with their schools. But there will be some families that choose not to because of the pandemic. So I can't say for 100% certain, but I can't imagine they would use it for any reason, because some students will not be able to take it because they're fully remote. So they can't use it for one child and not another. So if two children are applying to the same high school and one child was fully remote and the other one wasn't, they can't take their test and look at that over another child. So I will get further clarification, but I don't believe that it would be used for anything else but to assess progress and support learning loss. And actually, that's the reason why the state and the federal government were asking for them to be administered as well. That's
Okay,
why
so
there's not accountability to districts using this test this year.
Understood. Again, I'm not trying to beat that horse, but a lot of parents are on the fence on deciding whether or not to have their child take that test for that specific reason. So if we have a deadline on when the child has to be registered, do you think we can get an answer to the community before that deadline, so parents understand that it's confirmed that it will not show up on that child's records?
Yes, and I think that's Louis, something that we have to ask Tracy through academic policy tomorrow. I don't know if a child takes a test, if it will show up. But we can get that for you tomorrow.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay.
And then
Effie, you can ask your school these questions. So you can call your son's school and ask the question. They will have the answer tomorrow. I'll make sure that
And I think it's also important, like what you mean by on their record. Of course, the result of the test will always be on their testing history in our system. Like we have that information. So Joe, what do you mean on their testing?
So that's the whole thing. So parents are asking, they're saying, look, why would I opt to have my child take the test if I have reason to think that he or she's not going to score well, and it's only going to have a negative impact on my child? It's going to show up on his record. So why would I even want to send my child in for the test? So I think that's going to deter a lot of people from taking the state exam, because unless they're 100%, they're confident that their child will score very well, it's going to have a negative impact on the child that's taking the exam, because it'll show up on his records, and those that are remote and don't take the exam, it won't show up. So right there's a disadvantage.
You know what, let's ask academic policy exactly how they plan on, the system, it will be in the system, because the intent for it to be used is to look at children's learning loss and actually where they need to grow in. But we'll find out exactly in terms of, I don't want to speak with 100% certainty, but I can't imagine it will be used for anything else but that for this year.
Even
if it is on a child's record.
Yeah,
you
children
Yeah, you can't use, when it comes to admissions, you cannot use a test for one child and not a test for another. That's not, everything is really consistent.
And Joe, it won't be used for promotion.
Right.
Right, but
We
it will-
really don't do that.
But I think
Right.
that, like, even like Rashmi points out on the chat here, it'll show up on the student's report card, no?
No.
I don't know. I think we have to get final confirmation on that. We'll get that information.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it would be necessarily held against them, because if I'm looking at programming, I'm not looking at a child's test scores, when half of the kids that are coming into my school haven't taken it, right? It's not a reliable measure to place anyone.
And
Or
for a
to-
teacher,
Yeah, right.
yeah, a teacher might be more helpful, especially when you get down to the item level, like what questions they got wrong, because then the teacher can help those students with those areas, those standards.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right. And Deborah Cassidy saying that test scores aren't on report cards, but we just want to, confirm.
I don't. I'll check, but I never remember seeing it.
Yeah,
Right,
I don't want to say
not
anything.
the-
I don't want to say anything at a public meeting. I want to really check in with academic policy to kind of
Right,
get.
I mean. that's
Right.
the point, exactly.
Right. I think the parents, I think when we mean report card, not the school given report card, but the actual report card that comes from the central, how they say test is 2 negative, 3 plus, 3 or 4. That's what parents are asking. And a lot of parents have approached me too, that if the final result, if let's say the child was 3 and they become a 2 because of the test condition and environment, will that be held not tomorrow, but at some point? Hey, look, your score in terms of the weighted average, it will go down. So I think that's just
No, it never
parents.
counts. It never counts towards an average ever.
Okay. So these are just now
they're not part of
brainstorming.
your grade, right?
Okay,
I mean,
so-
look, I will say we will get that answer from academic policy. As a parent, I always had my students take tests. As an educator, it gave me a clear understanding of where my children were. And then I use that to engage in conversations with his or her teacher, right? So that's why we talk about testing. The tests that we gave your children this year are not used for anything else, but to guide and support our teachers in best meeting their needs for this year. So when Dr. D'Antona and I have gone in to visit our principals in our schools and we're engaging in conversation, no principal has ever said, oh, we're using this to place children. It's not like that. We use it to make sure that their teachers are aware of the supports that they need aligned to the standards. But I will get the correct wording and the answers for you from academic policy as to where that is. My understanding and what I want parents to know is that everyone is aware that this is a pandemic, right? So nobody's going to look at this year and say, oh, so-and-so got a 2. That's not how, as educators, we would look at things. We wouldn't say, oh, 10 years from now, so-and-so got a 2 on the state exam. Right now, our goal and our guide is to use this to make sure that if your child is in 7th grade and has learning gaps that they need in order to move to 8th grade and be successful in high school, it is a standardized assessment that we can use to make sure that those needs are met. That's the plans that we're using it for, nothing else. Children will not be penalized for what they get on these tests.
So you would encourage that they opt to take the exam?
I think it's a parent's, it's a parent's choice. I will say we have not heard anything that there is an opt-out. There's no opt-out. The choice is whether or not you want to send your children, if you're fully remote, whether or not you want to send your children into school. Like I said, as a parent, it always guided me on how I wanted to further support my children and engage in conversations with my teachers. So when my children were in younger grades and my daughter showed that she needed support in math, and I was at a parent-teacher conference and the teacher spent the whole time talking about ELA, I said to the teacher, I said, listen, while I respect what you're saying, the state exams show that she's struggling in math, and I really want to hear, what you're saying about her skills in that area. It is a resource that I always used to support my child. But once again, it is questions and conversations that parents should have with, within their family and how safe they feel if they're fully remote, sending them back to school. But I do know what's really important is if you are doing that, another thing that Dr. D'Antona and I have spent time doing is looking at the safety and health conditions that are happening in our schools. And our schools are doing a great job, and they want to be able to maintain that for testing as well.
Understood. And this is another thing that's not very clear, because I thought that the parent had to specifically indicate that they wanted their child to take the state exam. Otherwise, it will be presumed that their child is not taking the exam. So if that child is going to school, he or she's not going to go to school that day, correct? I'm a little confused about.
So, yes,
the
so
requirements
that was a question I think that Effie asked, and we want to get final clarification on that around how that's going to work. That question did come up today. So we want to get a final response to that and see.
And I think it's just important that parents respond to the school's letter, because they need to plan for stuff like that, like how many kids are going to be in school.
Right.
So as
Exactly.
much information schools can get as soon as possible, we can help get those answers to parents.
And yeah, that's next week, basically. It's very
Yeah.
quick. Okay, understood. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Danielle.
No, that's fine. Any other questions? Okay. And that wasn't interrupting, that was asking me questions. Okay. So, look, when it comes to this concept of opting out on testing, I'm standing behind the policy. There's no opting out of testing, right? There's no, so I don't necessarily answer questions around that. I will say, I value testing for myself as a parent. I value testing as an educator. We use it in the district, which is why we're one of the only districts that are assessing our students right now for learning lags. That's what these tests show us. They're reliable. I've been working with tests for over 20 years. My children are 18 and 16. They've always taken state exams. So I don't really get into conversations of opt-out, because I know what the intent and purposes are for us in the district and why we use them. And it is to support children. So, and to support teachers in order to do, to organize units of study, individual lessons. I always wanted my child's teacher to know. I always wanted my child's teacher to know where my child is in a certain standard when they come into that unit of study. That is what my expectation has been for my children's teachers. And it is the expectations for our principals in our schools in District 25. So I don't engage in any other conversations around, no, it's not going to impact funding on schools this year. No. So, and schools and districts are not going to be held accountable for test results. So, okay. All right. So, Louis, you have are you putting up the PowerPoint? Yep. Or is?
I have it. Yep. Are you ready?
Yep, I am ready. All right. So good evening, everyone. I am here tonight to talk about our school budgets for the 2021-22 school year. I am joined tonight by Paula Latito. Welcome, Paula. Paula is our budget manager and support for our District 25 schools. She is amazing. And we are happy to have her here, and her experience and her wealth of knowledge regarding budgets. So I'm going to go through the presentation, and then we will open up an opportunity for any questions or concerns that you have that Paula will be very happy to answer for you. Okay, so just so we know, I am going to speak about 2021-22 budget, but in order to start the conversation, I'm going to talk about our 2020-21 budget for this past year, and then you will see that we'll gradually move into the budget for next year. So greetings and welcome. The DOE is funded by city, state, and federal dollars, which combine to support our $34 billion budget. The New York City provides most of our funding. For the 2020-21 school year, the city contributed $19.6 billion, or 57% of our total budget. Most of our funding from the city comes from what we call tax levy dollars. City tax levy funds are drawn from local taxes, including property taxes, sale tax, and personal income taxes. Every year, the mayor proposes the amount of city tax levy funding we get, and the city council must pass the budget into law. New York State is our second largest source of funding. For the 2020-21 school year, the state contributed 12.3 billion or 36% of our total budget. The state gets its funding mainly from income and sales tax. Every year, the governor proposes the amount of state funding that we get, mainly based on the number and types of students enrolled in our schools. And then the state legislator must pass the budget into law. The federal government is our third largest source of funding. For the 2020-21 school year, the federal government contributed 2.1 billion or 6% of our total budget. The federal government gets its funding mainly from income taxes. Every year, Congress proposes a budget and the president must sign the budget into law. The Every Student Succeeds Act, or ESSA, provides the rules for allocating most of the federal funding we receive. So our $34 million budget provides for the daily instruction and support of over 1 million students every day. District school budgets equals allocations to schools. This includes all dollars given directly to district schools in addition to associated fringe and pension costs. Under the oversight of principals and superintendents, school budgets are used for all instructional expenses at the DOE. 18 billion in school budgets pay for costs including salaries and benefits for classroom teachers, classroom paraprofessionals, principals, assistant principals and deans, and other classroom and school-based staff. This also includes funding for textbooks, computers, materials, and supplies. Non-instructional costs equals food, transportation, and debt payments. This pays for non-instructional services that students receive. The $5 billion budget is used to pay for costs including free breakfast and lunch available to all students, bus routes, and loan payments on buildings, new construction and renovation. This is similar to mortgage payments. Non-district schools, charters, students with disabilities attending specialized DOE schools. This covers schools and programs that educate New York City schools but are not directly run by New York City DOE. This $5 billion budget includes tuition payments to early childhood centers or NYSEEKs for 3K and pre-K, charters, students with disabilities attending specialized schools, and supplemental services for students attending non-public schools. Support costs equals custodial, facilities maintenance, and central academic supports. This $6 billion covers the administrative costs and instructional spending outside of school budgets. This pays for custodial and facilities needs to keep school spaces clean and maintained, school safety agents in each school building, and academic support costs. The vast majority of instructional costs are allocated directly to school budgets. Funds allocated to schools are under the responsibility of the principal. Principals, along with their school leadership teams, create the school's CEP or comprehensive education plan based on school-specific instructional needs and priorities. Principals work with their SLTs to create the school's budget to pay for the instructional program detailed in the SLT. Superintendents supervise the principal in this process and must approve all school budgets and their alignment within the school CEP. Fair student funding is the primary funding source for most community district schools. How do we allocate money to schools? Of the $18 billion allocated to schools, $10 billion is allocated through fair student funding, which we will discuss today in detail. An additional $8 billion in federal, state, and local funding are distributed to schools through school allocation memorandums, or SAMs. Fair student funding. The majority of school budgets are allocated through fair student funding. Under fair student funding, we create a school's budget based on individual needs of each student enrolled there. Each school's fair student funding allocation is calculated based on the number of students enrolled at each school and the specific needs of those students. This budgeting method is called a weighted pupil funding model. Pupil needs are weighted based on the cost of meeting the educational need. Non-fair student funding allocations. Not all school funding is allocated through fair student funding. Some school funding, including our large federal grant programs such as Title I, II, III, and IV, are allocated directly to schools outside of fair student funding. The DOE has approximately 100 separate allocations to school, each of which are accompanied by a school allocation memorandum or a SAM. The scope of these SAMs can be broad and their value may vary. One SAM might go towards hiring a new teacher or social worker, while another SAM could establish a new summer school or pay for computer maintenance. The written description in each SAM provides information about the background of the funds, their purpose, their source, and how they should be used. You can find a full list of SAMs online on the DOE's Info Hub. Fair student funding pays for K-12 classroom staff and student supports at DOE community district schools. Fair student funding provides for each school's primary instructional program and services. Over 90% of fair student funding supports classroom staff and instructional supports for students. Classroom teachers include arts, gym, cluster quota coverage teachers, teacher absence coverage, pupil support including guidance, after-school programs, tutoring and intervention, school leadership and intervention supports. OTPS supplies materials, while other non-fair student funding allocation provides for other specific programs, including speech, counseling, 3K, and pre-K. Okay. These are the proposed weights to determine fair student funding. Each school will be funded based on their student population. Individual students may be funded by multiple weights, depending on each student's needs. As part of your feedback, we hope to hear your input. No changes have been made to the formula weights since 2016-2017. Each school receives a foundation of $225,000. The remainder of the fair student funding is based on student characteristics and their respective weights, in addition to funding for collective bargaining related costs. For the 2020-21 school year, the base weight of 1% was equal to approximately $4,140 per capita. This per capita is adjusted annually to reflect changes to the citywide average teacher salary. The basic grade weight is allocated to schools for all students on their audited October 31st register and is aligned to the instructional requirements by student grade level with district weights for K-5, 6-8, and 9-12. Funding for academic intervention, or AIS, is determined by students' academic performance when they enter a school, with poverty funding schools beginning in pre-testing grades. All students in elementary schools K-8 and K-12. Funding for special education is determined by the percentage of time students spend receiving special education services. One weight for students receiving services for less than 20% of their week, another weight funding students receiving part-time services for up to 59% of their week, and the remaining full-time weights dependent on student grade level and their primary instructional model of special class or integrated co-teaching ICT services. Supplemental funding supporting former IEP students in their first year of declassification will continue to support of IEP declassification services through the post-IEP transitional support weight. Funding for English language learners is allocated based on students' grade level, reflecting the mandated instructional services, bilingual versus ENL only, weights for former Ls who have achieved proficiency within the past 2 years, state designated commanding pupils, Ls with students with interrupted formal education SIFE status will receive their respected L weights in addition to the SIFE weight. Supplemental per capita funding is allocated for portfolio high schools to support their unique instructional models. Oh my gosh. Okay. How fair student funding weights work. Fair student funding needs are determined on an individual student basis. The weights add up by student as shown in the example shown here. Each student is evaluated for their eligibility based on data in DOE systems. Most fair student funding determination are based on data in ATS. In the above examples, we have two students, Sam and Alex. Both students are in elementary school. This means they are both entitled to the K-5 grade weight of 1.0, shown in the graph in orange. If they were middle school students, they would have a weight of 1.08, and if high school students, a weight of 1.03. Both students are English language learners, shown in green. Sam is an elementary school multilingual learner enrolled in a standalone English as a new language E&L program. Therefore, Sam is entitled to the K-5 E&L weight of 0.40. Alex is also an elementary school multilingual learner. Alex is enrolled at a bilingual program at his school. The school has appropriately coded Alex as enrolled in a bilingual program in the DOE scheduling systems called STARS. As such, Alex is entitled to the K-5 bilingual weight of 0.44. Both students are students with disability requiring special education classroom integration services. Of special education support services sets, special class, or integrated co-teaching. Sam's individualized educational program requires less than 20% of Sam's instructional program to be in an IEP setting. Therefore, Sam is entitled to the 20% special education weight of 0.56, shown in yellow. Alex's IEP, 21% through 59% of Alex's instructional program is to be spent in an IEP setting. Therefore, Alex is entitled to the 21 to 59 special education weight of 1.25, shown in yellow. Both students are students in poverty. Therefore, they are entitled to the fair student funding academic intervention weight of 0.12, shown in blue. When you add all these pieces together, Sam's fair student funding needs total a weight of 2.08, while Alex's needs total 2.81. Because each weight of 1.0 is equal to $4,137, Sam's weight of 2.08 is equal to approximately $8,600, while Alex's weight of 2.81 is equal to approximately $11,600 under fair student funding formula. Please save your questions for Paula. Okay. All right. In fiscal year 21, New York State will provide New York City with $1.9 billion less than their obligation under the Campaign for Fiscal Equity ruling. New York State has not kept up with its obligation to fund New York City schools as per the Campaign for Fiscal Equity ruling. The Campaign for Fiscal Equity ruling determined that New York State was not meeting its constitutional requirements in funding public schools, and the state agreed to phase in additional funding to New York City schools over 4 years. Based on the anticipated new state funding, the Fair Student Funding Formula was implemented in the first year of Campaign for Fiscal Equity infusion. During the recession, New York State walked away from this obligation, preventing full funding of the formula. This year, the Department of Education received $1.9 billion less than its C4E mandated level from the state. In fact, in fiscal year 21, New York City DOE state aid was reduced by $717 million, and Federal CARES Act funding was substituted in its place, resulting in no net benefits to New York City DOE from the federal stimulus funding. Without these funds, New York City cannot provide each school with 100% of their fair student funding allocation. Despite this funding shortfall, New York City has made significant investments in order to maintain services for students through the COVID-19 crisis. Over 450,000 DOE funded devices have been purchased and issued to students. There are currently 450 Learning Bridges programs citywide providing free childcare for children from 3K through 8th grade, with the capacity to serve nearly 44,000 students. That number continues to increase as we expand seats across all 5 boroughs. Additionally, DOE invested significant new funding to support school reopening, including $80 million directly to school budgets to fund staffing needs associated with programming in-person and remote learning models, and $10 million in planning grants to help schools prepare for the new school year. $50 million in cleaning supplies and PPE, and $22 million for ventilation repairs, air purifiers, and partitions to support safety in our schools. Since 2015, oh wait, I just read that. Okay, that's it. Okay. The new budgeting timeline. Despite the many challenges associated with the pandemic, we are planning for a standard timeline for the rollout of 2021-2020 school budgets, while acknowledging the many dependencies in the rollout of the upcoming school year. The plan is for February through April, based on initial budget estimates of city and state revenue, the DOE presents the CEC with the proposed fair student funding weights for the coming school year. In April and May, the panel for education policy votes on the proposed fair student funding weights for the coming school year. Late spring, DOE releases budget allocations to schools. In June, principals along with their school leadership team propose budgets for the coming year. In July, superintendents must certify alignment between school budgets and comprehensive education plans for the coming year. And in September, the new school budgets begin. More information is available online about fair student funding and school budgets. You can find the following online on the DOE's Info Hub under Reports, Financial Data and Reports. Detailed information about each and every school's budget allocation in the form of School Allocation Memoranda or SAMs. A programmatic guide to fair student funding, as well as how each fair student funding allocation is allocated for each school. You can find the following online on each individual school webpage under Reports and Budget and Finances. Detailed information of the school's budget based on different types of funding schools receive, and detailed information as to how the principal has budgeted for the current school year, including the number of staff positions and other planned spending. Okay. Any questions for Paula?
Does anyone in the community have questions for Paula?
No?
No questions?
Okay.
Okay.
Show the last slide, Louis. We want your feedback. Comments and questions may be directed below by April 27th, 2021 via email to budgetpubliccomments@schools.nyc.gov or by phone to 212-374-6754.
Thank you, Danielle. Thank you, Paula.
Thank you.
I mean, I have a question, not really a question, but more of a comment. I don't know when it will take effect, but I was, I read in the news this morning that there was an announcement of a very aggressive state budget that's supposed to go for signature by the governor, with a significant portion going to education in our state. So, if that takes effect, what years are we talking about? It's Paula, would you know?
Yeah, I heard the same thing this morning, and I believe it's for the new year coming up.
So it would be for the 21-22 school year.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay. So it's something that we should look out for.
yeah. I mean, I was very happy when I heard that, of course, more money. Oh, wait, Deborah's writing here that it phases in over 3 years. So it would start next year and then phase in.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you, Deborah.
Thank you, Deborah. Does anyone else in the community have any questions regarding the fair student funding report? Well, we thank you. Paula, we always know that you're always available, and if we have any questions, there's a question here in the chat, right? I'd like to know how or if this budget will be affected by the proposed summer enrichment I've heard about.
So summer enrichment allocations, and Paula, correct me if I'm wrong, are very different from school allocations. They're not going to pull from anything that they would normally have given to schools in order to have summer schools.
Right, it's a separate allocation. It comes in the form of a summer. It's usually called like tax levy summer allocation, and it doesn't come from a school's budget.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? So again, if you have any other questions, you have until April 27th, and you can email directly to budgetpubliccomments@schools.nyc.gov, or you can call 212-374-6754, or you can contact us at CEC, and we will try to accommodate. Thank you again. Okay, so moving along, do we have any new business to discuss? Is the Special Education Subcommittee here? Do we have any report back from the Special Education Subcommittee?
Keela's not here today, and Anne Marie can't talk, and I don't know where. I think Brooke just came back in the meeting. Hold on. Anne Marie had a root canal.
Understood.
Brooke, are you here?
We can discuss it at the business meeting.
Okay.
At this time, I'd like to move on to the public agenda and speaking time. Do we have any speakers on the list?
I don't see anybody.
Okay, so I've confirmed that our next calendar meeting for CEC will in fact be on Wednesday, March 12th.
May 12th.
I'm sorry, May 12th. Thank you, Carly. Because the holiday is not until the 13th. So we will be meeting on the 12th as opposed to the 5th in May. And I know we discussed at our last calendar meeting that we were going to acknowledge the teachers who were given tenure. Lamar, are you here? Mr. Hughes?
He's here. Hold on. Lamar?
So,
Hello, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Mr. Hughes, good to see you. So
Hi, good evening. How are you?
Good evening. We were discussing our May calendar meeting where we wanted to acknowledge and give some support to the teachers that were given tenure at our next meeting.
I heard that portion. Yes, I was here. I heard the portion. Yes.
Okay, so we will work on that. I'm assuming you will help us coordinate the logistics of that meeting.
Absolutely. And, I would also like to, as I have everyone's here now, I feel it would only be fair, it would only be fitting to also welcome it to other members of the District 25 community, assistant principals, and so forth, who may also be granted tenure during that time. So Absolutely. I'd rather, to keep it open as well. So I think that just something to say for the record to put into consideration as well.
Absolutely. So our CEC is always supportive of our principals, assistant principals, and teachers. So what better place than to have some type of celebration? So you and I and the CEC will work on, and the district office will work on coordinating that for our next calendar meeting, which is for May 12th. Okay.
Sounds good. Absolutely. Yes.
Perfect. Thank you. Then we'll send out notice to the community. I just wanted the community to understand that although we've coordinated a date for our town hall with our chancellor, there will be official notices sent out regarding our town hall. So look out for that in the coming weeks or so. Is there anyone that would like to make any comment at this time?
Joe, can I make a quick announcement? It's Esther.
Of course, Esther, welcome.
I just wanted to remind everybody that the CEC Town Hall meeting for all the candidates that are running will be held April 19th at the President's Council meeting. Flyers were already circulated, and I'll try to put that on the link.
Perfect.
On the chat. Thank you.
Thank you, Esther. So once again, that the public realize there are CEC elections that are coming up. Our term ends in June, And I encourage you all to attend the town hall, the President's Council Candidate Night, where the new candidates will present and you can meet them. And this year is quite different from the other years because the parents are given the opportunity to vote directly for their CEC representatives.
Correct. And the voting will take place through your NYC school account. If you haven't already signed up for your NYC school accounts, please reach out to your parent coordinator and sign up. It also benefits that you get all the information such as report cards and any news that might be coming from the Department of Education. And that's how you will be voting for the CEC candidates in District 25 for this year.
Wonderful. Thank you, Esther. Okay, so we will entertain motions to adjourn our calendar meeting, which will be followed by our business meeting. Unless there's something that we need to discuss.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, so Christine made the motion to adjourn our calendar
second.
meeting. And who is that? Ed?
Victor.
Victor, thank you. So everyone, it was a pleasure to see you all. We look forward to seeing you at our May calendar meeting and certainly at our May town hall. Have a good evening, everyone. We'll take a 3-4 minute break and then we'll start our business meeting for CEC members. Thank you and have a good evening.
Thank you. Have a great night, everyone.
Thanks.
Jill.
Good night.
Yeah, I think
Carly, you back?
everybody's here.
There you are, Carly. Let's do the roll call and get started, right?
Okay.
We're moving nice and quickly this evening, which is good.
Joseph Di Benedetto,
I'm here.
Victor Lee,
Present.
Anne Marie Knable. I see you. Don't talk. Christine Coniglio. Where are you?
Present,
Christine?
present.
Edward Kim.
Present.
Monica's absent. Hi, Rashmi. Rashmi Krishnaraj.
Hi.
Akila Sorio's absent. Lilik Vijayanti.
Present.
Yeah. And Brooke Sturgeon.
Present, but my internet's being weird.
Nah, I see you. Okay. We're all here, Joe.
Okay, perfect. So we have a quorum. Do we have minutes? from the
No,
last-
because we didn't have remember we had two.
Oh, that's right. We didn't have a business meeting last month. Right, okay. So, couple of things. We need to catch up
Did.
and finalize. We did?
Yeah, different days, no?
No, we had, our business meeting was the meeting with the mediator.
Our business meeting was in the beginning of March, and then we had
Did we vote on the, do we have
another-
minutes?
you already approved those
We
minutes in the
voted them.
last meeting.
Yeah, in March,
Yes.
right? Right,
Yes,
because we had another business meeting in March.
correct. So now this month you'll
Okay.
have a regular.
Yeah. So, now that we have our town hall scheduled for May 18th, and I know you can't speak, but I know that the questions are going around. I know that a lot of the policy has already changed since we first started. So we may have to just pick up on that and really tweak it for our next town hall, right?
Yeah,
So-
we really need people to start commenting.
And I haven't seen it. I might be missing it. It's very possible, but did it go out recently again?
I
one, the
resent
announcement?
it. Rashmi actually was the only person that responded, I think, this last time again.
I honestly
Um,
didn't see it. It might have got caught up in my 9 billion emails and I missed it and I apologize. But if you could send it again to me, Anne Marie, that would be
Yeah,
fantastic.
it's a Google Doc. It's been sent to, I'll send it again to everyone. But yes, a lot of the things that we had on there are now moot. So we may want to think of a different direction with some of our questions, but we really need to flesh out what our questions are going to be as well.
Exactly. And I don't know if we have time to even reach out to the community between now and then to see if there's any change. Because a lot of the issues are in fact moot. So I don't
Maybe-
know. Do we, is Juliana here? Hi, Juliana. I don't know. if we have ti-
Hi there.
Do we have time to reach out to the community for updates?
What? I'm sorry, Joe. I missed what
So
update.
our town hall, right? It was originally scheduled for March. Now it's on for May. We had stopped the questions going to the public back in February, right? And we had some questions we wanted to ask the chancellor, but a lot of the questions are no longer applicable. So I wasn't sure if we have a period that we can still reach out to the public, or if, that's even an option for us to
I
consider.
think that's a great idea. Yes, definitely. If you can make that happen, if the council is willing, I apologize that you're in this position where you have to look at questions again. But if the council members are willing, that would be so helpful for the community.
So what does everyone on the council think? I don't want to make that decision. You want to vote on it? Are you guys willing to reach out again to the community and get more questions? And then we would have to probably meet again.
Yeah, I'm just afraid that like the meeting, can we look at those questions? Amory, can you share those questions, that document on your screen? Just so we could get an idea of what questions are on there that are still, I mean, I know a lot of them are not applicable right now. I'm just afraid time-wise that by the time we survey the people.
Right, but the thing is, the questions that we had, okay, we were struggling. I think Juliana had recommended that we don't have 10 questions, we have 15, 20 questions. We were even struggling to have 15, 20 questions with what we had. So, we're going to have that taken out, the questions about when middle school's going back, when high school's going back. There's a lot of stuff that's just coming off the table. So I'll share the questions, but we're not going to have 10 questions. And even if we revisit the questions that were already submitted, even from that list of things that we disregarded, that we thought
that's what I was wondering. Okay.
There's still not going to be a lot of that stuff that we disregarded. We kind of lumped in because it went into that bigger topic. So
Correct.
I
And
really think that it's necessary to have another go around with questions from the community, because also I think the questions may have changed because of the new chancellor.
Correct.
I think that they should have the opportunity to present something different.
Absolutely.
Well, then we really have to that's got to get done
ASAP.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
And we have to, because I mean, if we're meeting, the meeting's May 18th.
It's a month from now, more or less.
Yeah. So that doesn't really leave us a lot of time to really prep.
Right.
So
I think if we don't do that, I think we're going to be kind of
she might
short.
be much quicker. Misha, she might be very quick in answering the questions, and then we're going to have this awkward moment, right? So I think it's important to reach out to the community. I think we could still do it in time. We can, it just requires us as a council to meet once again, between now and then and tweaking it. But we would have to pick up where we left off and send out a notice to the community and give them a time to present the questions by, which is still doable before our next meeting, and then work from there. What do you guys think?
I agree with you, Joe. I think, because a lot has changed. I think about 60% of that question is off the table. And between now and testing and new thing and everything, parents may have a lot of different ways. So if we just like Christine was saying, that if we send out the survey, or we can use the same link, the same survey, just send it out again and give people 3 weeks time. I think looking at the strategy, it's a good idea to give parents the time after the first ELA testing, because a lot of questions will be clearer around that time. And then we can meet as a council so we don't waste the time again closer to the town hall. If nothing else changes and if it's still on the record, still happening, we can meet in May. So that way we get enough time to get the question, to gather the question, to filter out. And if nothing else changes, I was like, okay, we still have that May 18th as a time, and the 2 test has passed. So if there's anything last minute coming, so we know exactly what to ask. I think that's a good idea.
The ELA exams are from April 19th to April 29th, right?
29th, yeah.
Our next meeting is May 12th, right? So even if we say, look, we roll out the survey and have them respond by May 12th, right? Then we can meet, it's kind of close. It's 6 days before the town hall. But maybe we can do a deadline for the week before the 12th, but the 5th, right?
Why not just do it May 1st? The test is on April 29th. So, you know, the last round of test, right? So then just have it, the
What
deadline
day
May
of the week is
1st.
May 1st?
May 1st.
Saturday.
It's Saturday.
Saturday.
So have it due on the third, on the, you know, the 30th. What is it, 30th or 31st on
So we
Friday?
could- Or we can
May
do it-
3rd
we
is
could do
a
it
May 3rd is a Monday.
May 3rd is a Monday, right?
Yeah.
So we would have to meet before our May 12th meeting, right? And try to get the questions penned out.
And then our meeting town hall is on 19th, right?
18.
I mean, okay, 18th.
18.
So we still
It's a
have,
Tuesday.
okay, so we still have, if we get a really good set of questions from the parents, then our work will get a little bit easier in terms of just make sure we put the questions together. So, I mean, unless everybody disagrees, the first week of May, any day in the first week of May is good enough. That gives enough time for parents to really give us a good chunk of questions. I mean, it's up to you guys.
So I'm for it. I don't know, should we do it by show of hands or vote on it? We need to vote on this, right, Juliana?
Sorry, dealing with my audio here.
It's okay. So we need to vote on whether or not to roll out the questionnaire to the community, correct? We just can't.
That's a good idea. You're
Okay.
all here. Good idea. Thanks, Joe.
All right. So either Carly, you go through the roll call, or just show of hands of who's okay with rolling out a new questionnaire to the community.
Show of hands.
I don't see Lily, Anne Marie, Victor. So we got 6. Christine, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. So we will then roll out the questionnaire to the community, right? Carly.
Yep.
Can you, are you have access to do it? Are you able to do it?
I think, I don't remember how we did it, but I think Louis put a link on the website, if I'm not mistaken, and that's how we got the
Yeah,
questions out.
the survey never really closed. It's still open. So I just updated it with the new date and the new chancellor's name.
Okay.
Is there any way that FACE can include the link to submit the questions in the email blast they send out to everyone who has already registered?
That would be a great idea.
Yes, we can do that.
Okay.
Great. So Carly, I'll send you the link and you can share.
Perfect. Thank you.
Louis, can you just review with Carly and Joe and the rest of the CEC access to these questions? Because I think
Sure.
we needed to clarify that, because last time that.
Yeah, so we sent an email to Joe and to Carly with a link that goes to the back-end spreadsheet that when a parent or a community member fills out the online form, it kind of fills in a new line on the spreadsheet. So we can circulate that link again. I opened up that link so that you don't even need to log into Google's, because I don't know what everyone's Google accounts are or if you have a Google account. So when you click the link, you should be brought right to that file, and you'll see what school they're from and what category the question is, and then you can read the question.
Okay.
So we can circulate that link again as well.
Do you mind circulating it to all, or you would give it to Carly? And then
I'll give it
she'll
to Carly,
circulate
yeah.
with all the CEC members, right, Carly? You'll just.
So then, Louis,
and that's
anyone,
updated. That's updated in real time.
right, and anyone can log in and see the questions, correct?
Yeah.
What about
Well,
the
see
notice
the
to the
responses to
community?
the survey, right?
Right, the responses.
Yeah.
How do we notify the community? I understand that, through FACE will announce.
So FACE, and that the FACE email is actually the best one, because those are people that have already registered that want to attend the town hall. So they're the ones that should have questions. But once we get a new flyer, we will circulate that with parent coordinators again. And that's kind of how we did it the first time, right, Carly?
Yeah. We just don't have a flyer yet.
Yeah.
Juliana, how fast before we get that flyer, can we get it out this week?
That's what I am pushing for.
Okay.
But I'm not sure that it's going to be done with translation by Friday. So it unfortunately, it might be until Monday before we see translated flyers.
Which is still fine, as long as we put the deadline to submit additional or new questions with the date, correct? Did we agree on a deadline date for the new questions? I mean, I know, like Louis said, that they keep rolling in, but if the public feel, is notified that they need to get it in by a certain date, we can just cut it off and then we can deal with the questions ourselves, right?
You want me to share the questions we currently have?
Can you share it on the screen?
Yeah.
What was the cutoff date that you gave?
Well, we didn't agree on that, right? So Rashmi had suggested the first week in May, which I'm fine with. Is everyone okay with that? I mean, I think we're gonna have to meet before the town hall. So I don't know how you want to do it. You want to meet on the day of our calendar meeting and talk about the town hall questions, or you want to do another date?
We can even do it at the check-ins we have it with FACE. That can be also a date that we can quickly brush up on that. I don't have it in front of me, the days.
Do we have check-ins with FACE still, Juliana?
Yep. Yep, we just had spring break and this week's your meeting. That's a great idea. I'll probably need to submit these questions to the chancellor on May 11th or 12th. So maybe we can give the community a couple weeks.
So we really need to have the questions tied in before our May 12th meeting.
Okay, so if it's that
right?
fast.
If you have to get the questions to the chancellor by May 12th, and we're meeting on May 12th,
right?
We really need to have a meeting beforehand and tie up our questions. So if we put a deadline of May 3rd, then
How about Joe? How about April 30th or May 1st, so people have time on the weekends if they are busy working, so they can still get to it.
So May 1st is a Saturday. If we do a deadline of May 3rd, I don't think we could meet it.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's a good deadline.
If we meet May 6th without touch base, which is Thursday, can we get it all done in one day?
So you want to do the deadline like Rashmi said, April 30th, and then meet May 6th? Is that what you're saying?
No, he said May 3rd, the deadline for parents.
The deadline May 3rd, and then meet May 6th to get the questions wrapped up.
Why don't you make the deadline the day before your meeting? Does it?
We could do that too, because it's Cinco de Mayo.
Well,
okay.
So they're
You're right. Yeah, we could do it.
Give parents as much, unless you say we need time individually to review the questions. Give parents as much time as possible. Have it go right to the day before your meeting.
So wait, Louis. So if the deadline is May 4th or 5th that you were talking, who's actually will Carly have enough time to put all the questions together like she did before, or she needs some extra time? So like maybe
well, it's up to that's up to Carly. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, the deadline is May 5th and you're meeting May 6th. I can do it in the day. It's okay.
Well, your meeting's at night, right? On the 6th?
Yeah, I could do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Are we good with that? Is everyone in agreement?
That's fine. Good.
I also just want to, when you click on the link that Carly's going to circulate to all the responses, there's the first column is the timestamp of when it was submitted. So you'll see all the questions that were submitted the first time we collected responses in January, February, and March, beginning of March. So they're still there. And then you'll see all the new responses will appear at the bottom of the list. And you'll see the dates that are in April. So just so you don't get confused.
So it makes sense. And then we can discuss who's asking the questions and, you know, the what we'll be talking about. So this is a new chance. So we really need to have a meeting on it, right? Because we had a different plan with Carranza. So now it might change, right?
Well, if we look at take a quick look at our questions, 1, 2.
Good. I didn't see them. Now I see them.
You see it? They're already talking about changing that 2-case rule.
Which we don't have an answer yet.
No, we don't have an answer on, but I'm anticipating that we probably will before the town hall.
Correct.
Before Friday.
So that's kind of out.
Gifted and talented, they're still doing it, no?
And that's a question they should ask.
Yeah, number 3, I think is a good question to ask.
Yeah.
So I'm just
Number 2 might be out. Can you scroll down to the other questions?
Yep.
Wait, Joe, before we forget, I think Lily, I don't know why Lily has a hand raised. I don't know if it's something that.
Oh, I thought it was for the vote. I'm sorry, Lily. Do you have a question or comment? Lily?
No, just for the foot before. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay.
All right. I'm just gonna highlight in bold the questions that are staying. All right, so 1 and 2, we're agreement that those are coming out. Is that correct? Yes.
You know what? We may have some
Version of
feedback
it.
on question 1, depending what the
The new
rollout is,
policy.
right? We don't know what the
Okay.
policy is, so that might be something that we might need elaboration on, right? Depending
But
what,
two, I
Pending
think,
new policy.
yeah.
2, I think is definitely out.
2 is out because there is,
An opt-in window and middle schools are open.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm removing it, okay?
I'm okay with that. You guys okay with that?
I hope you're okay
Done.
with it, not Karen, do it.
Okay,
It's gone.
it's gone. G&T is definitely something that's gonna stay on.
Mhm.
Number 3.
We're still working on that, so that stays.
Mm-hmm.
That stays. Okay.
Fix number 5 to Department of Education.
Correct. There's no board.
That's a pet peeve of mine.
You made it one of my pet peeves too, because I always think twice. I'm like, it's not Board of Ed, it's DOE.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yes.
Good.
Okay.
That question comes up. She would be able to answer that.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, this is changed.
Well, just tweak it. If
Yeah.
not all
Yeah, we
students
may
take a
need to
state
tweak
test.
it. And
Okay, so I'll
again,
leave that.
depending what, like Rashmi says, after the ELA state test, there might be other questions or concerns, right?
Okay.
So that'll stay. The HIV curriculum is still there, right?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Can I ask why it says insert Christine's statement here? What statement?
You made a really good statement at that meeting that you were supposed to remember.
You guys are funny. You expect me to remember that?
Start figuring that out. Go back and watch the tape. Scroll
Yeah,
back the tape.
what is the issue with the HIV? That was a question that came from the community?
It was
Somebody
because it's kindergarten. It's
Because-
taught in kindergarten up or something, and it was a question
Yeah.
of concern of why
Parents-
so young having that kind of discussion.
Yeah, it was brought up at one of the CEC meetings.
Parents were offended, at that grade level of having that discussion. And they
I'll
were
share
questioning
the
it.
curriculum with you guys if you guys want to look at it.
Yeah, I think it's about viruses and hand washing. It's not necessarily.
It's super age appropriate. Yeah. Like, yeah.
not-
Yeah, I don't remember what I said. That's I
Well,
could
and
have-
we
It was
really
that
need to
good.
know what the curriculum is before we ask the question also, right?
I'll send it to you guys.
and
yeah.
I don't
It's
think that I
public.
was opposed to it, so that's why I'm
I'd
really
have
No,
to
you
watch-
you
I'd have to
said
watch
something. You said something really good. You were not opposed to it, but you wanted to tweak and make changes. Like you had some like really good question on it. I remember that. So it's something like that. Because we all were chiming in, and we were saying, yeah, why it's like that? They should have done something different. So you kind of took everybody and you kind of bridged it to your own opinion, and it came out perfect. So yeah, remember it. So we
You're
can
gonna
put
have
it.
to go back and read the video, look at the video, Christine.
thank God we videotaped the meetings.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, that's up. that was
So
up there.
let's just, I honestly like to have a
Wait, I have a question. I do have a question. Anne Marie, can you go?
On
Is
the
there more
HIV curriculum?
questions? No, but can you go? Okay, so there's questions that were on the initial thing that aren't.
because this is what we narrowed down. This is what we narrowed down.
Yeah, but there
to.
were things that came in afterwards. Like I happen to know for a fact, my son submitted a question
Yeah, we
about high
discussed that.
schools. But I don't know where that question wound up.
So I think that after we did this Google form, the questions were already like we never whatever that last cutoff date was, even though parents submitted questions, that was never looked and brought it to our attention. So these are new 15 or 20
Yeah.
questions.
I mean, I don't remember seeing that question, Christine.
Yeah, I was on there because I had originally saw it because I questioned why it wasn't on the original one. And then I saw it come up late when I got the link. Louis, do you have that original link of the?
Yeah.
Is that your dog?
Is that a
That's
dog?
my cat.
Emery?
Is
the
your
cat?
cat?
So
Oh my
so
God.
bad.
That's fine. That's love right there.
Wait, why is the cat showing her butt to us?
At the top, at the bottom of the tail is a gland that has like pheromones. She's marking her territory.
Oh boy.
He's
Loves
letting
you.
me know that I'm giving you guys too much attention and not enough to him. That's what's going on here between the cat and the dog since I've been sitting here.
It's true.
It's true.
Yeah. So let me quickly go to the file and see
Constantine.
what's going on.
Oh, that made me hurt.
Yeah, because then what I'm thinking is, are there other questions on there that we never looked at?
Well, let's pull up. We could always pull up the
Well, that's what
spreadsheet.
Louis is looking at, the spreadsheet.
He's so good.
That's why we keep him around.
And he
Let's
likes
see.
cats.
I also
And he
want
likes-
his app. How do you make yourself look so vibrant?
Got a really good webcam.
Is that what it is?
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Unhide.
I can't see anybody because I'm just looking at Amory's screen.
Oh.
Oh, how do you want me to take it away?
No, I just don't know where everybody's looking. I see nothing but your screen.
Is the high school? Let me just ask. While Louis is getting that, the
Is
high
his
school
name
edition-
Frank C? Is his name Frank C?
Yes.
Yeah, it's here. It's on February 12th. It's possible that because that Word doc or Google Doc you guys made from the questions at a certain point, right?
Right.
Oh, yeah,
So
it
that's
says on
what I'm
top. It
saying.
says-
So what?
It says draft 210.
Okay, so
This is
Frankie
not-
did
this
his
is
on
not
212.
This is not from the Google. This is just the questions that we said at the meeting specifically that day.
Right.
This is not from the Google Doc. This
And
was
that
just
meeting
questions
was
that
on the 10th of February,
drafted.
and Frankie
No, but
submitted his question on the 12th.
we did look at the Google Doc, Carly,
Okay, so
and
that-
that's how we
and
drafted
in
it.
that case, if you wanted that question to be specifically on here, then you should have said throw that question in as number 12. or
No, but
13 or whatever.
what I'm saying is are there any other questions? Are you telling me that nobody submitted a question beyond 210?
Well,
Louis.
your son
No, we
submitted
have
on the 12th.
we have questions. Frankie was on the 12th,
Right.
and they go pretty strong through the end of February. And there's
Right.
two at
So
the
what I'm
beginning.
saying is let's look at those
We need to
questions.
look at them.
Yeah,
Yes.
they could be
Because
included.
because there could be something in there that would help us. Do you know what I'm
Absolutely.
saying? Like we cut off basically at February 10th, but there was still questions being submitted. So let's look at those additional questions.
Of course, yes. We need to look at
And
those.
what's nice about it is you guys can always click the link at any time on your own time, right? To see if any new questions came in, just so you can read them and familiarize with them. That's the link that Carly's going to share.
Okay,
via
so
email.
and these questions, like Frankie's question, anything that came up after the 10th will show up, right? They're still there, correct? Louis?
Yes, Joe, all the original questions are still there.
Okay.
This Google
so
Doc
then-
is not the same Google Doc as where the parents are
Got it,
putting
got
the
it. So
link
this
in.
Google
is
Doc
just
is what Anne
some
Marie
of
was
the questions you
circulating.
guys came up with, correct?
Understood. All right, so we're gonna have to pick up and read from that, from
Yeah.
that stuff, and we'll
Okay, so-
follow up. So we,
Well-
let's just finish the questions that you have on this document, so we know what's applicable, and then we'll add on, correct? Let's just eliminate what we have here, right? So if you go back up that HIV question, we need to look at the curriculum, right? Louis,
Right.
I guess, is looking for the curriculum. The chancellor advice, I don't know what her position is on parental empowerment, but I think that is something we could tweak to Misha, right? We can probably say, what is your opinion on parental empowerment? Because our prior chancellor was a big advocate for parental empowerment.
Right.
Mhm.
So that should stay, I think. High school admissions, SSH,
It's not, it's S,
He gave it.
yeah,
it's
Done?
Shishat. It's
Shazat.
SHSAT. There's an A missing.
Yeah, SHSAT.
They gave it.
They
So
gave
this
the
is
Shazam?
moot?
When
they
was the
gave it.
Shazam?
They had it, so then it comes out.
They
Yeah.
had it
Right.
recently,
When
right?
did they give it? They gave it in
February 27th. was the
February, yeah.
test.
It's over.
It's over.
Okay.
In school. They gave it in school.
Yep. The kids went to school and took the test.
Got it.
And Frankie said it was easy, which makes me
I'm
nervous.
already thinking for the following year because they're doing, prep
I
for
think
that.
the question was brought up because there was so much talk about, Joe, in the past about getting rid of the exam altogether.
Right.
So I think that was, and I think
know-
somebody suggested that we have an SHSAT question, but we really didn't have one. That's why it was put there. What is the question here? I think somebody suggested we needed to have a question regarding it, but we didn't really have a question. So we just
Okay. So
that.
I know that the prior chancellor was against, wanted to do away with the SHSAT. So I, as a parent, and I think there's a community concern, would want to know what this new chancellor's position is on Shazam, right? Is she opposed to it? Is she for it?
I think that yeah, definitely what her stance is on it.
that's something we really need to touch on, right? Because then we know what's going to happen. We can tweet that.
Yeah. What is S? It's SHSHAT?
No, SHSAT. She is.
Okay. Okay.
There you go. Yes. So a couple of things. So, yeah. And then what about these zoning changes? That's going to take effect for the following year, right, Danielle? On the high
if
school.
that, yeah, you might want to ask about that and where they're going with that.
Love that.
Question number 10. Does everyone understand what the issue is with the zoning changes?
I actually don't.
So we don't, it's about high school.
Yeah.
What they're planning on doing. That's a good question.
But I think we have to have a very detailed question because she might not.
I mean, the question is, we have a very rare situation where many of our District 25 students are zoned for District 26 high schools. So that's not the same way in other districts. So you guys might want to ask that question about, and those schools maintain their zone. That was the issue. So there are a lot of schools that are no longer zoned, but the District 26 high schools maintain their zone. So you might want to ask what's just going to happen to that.
But that's supposed to happen not in the 21-22 school year, but the
Not next year, right?
following.
Yeah.
Does everyone understand? Emery, do you understand now?
Not for this.
I do. I got it. Thank you.
But the next year's process, which starts around December, November, December. No, the
Right.
applications are due by December.
So we would want to know from our new chancellor what, if anything's going to happen with the zoning?
Yeah,
Or
you
is-
might want to say is, we know that it was initially presented. There wasn't clarity on it. Is District 25 going to lose their zoning options to District 26 high schools?
Juliana just typed in the chat that there is a thought plan to do away with the geographical priority for high schools, and she's going to send more information.
All right.
So
you
maybe
can
when
get that
she
to
sends
us.
the information, then we can kind of.
That's the
Draft the
plan, right?
question.
That's the plan. The plan is to get rid of geographic zones. So.
But so let me just ask you, just so I can understand this better. So a kid that's zoned, that goes to, say, WJP, oh no, that's not a good, Bleecker High
I'll
School.
give you an
Well, Bleecker
example.
Junior High School.
No, I'll get right. Well, let's do IS 25 because I work there. So I know
Okay.
that those kids are zoned for either
Bayside.
Francis Lewis, Bayside, those schools, wherever you live, right? So they were normally zoned for those schools, meaning that when you went through the high school application process, you could apply wherever you wanted to special programs, which were different. Like you could be zoned for
Right.
Bayside and apply into the Bayside special program. You could apply wherever you wanted. But if you put your zone last, you got into your zone. And that is what will change. So this year, when they made changes to high school admissions, it did not affect us at all. Right? And
Right.
middle school applications, all that stuff, it didn't affect us because we were middle school choice, like all of those things. Next year would affect us. If they do what they say they're going to do, there's an entire section of District 25 schools.
That will
are-
then move to District 26, theoretically.
No, they would
No,
not,
they-
they would no
they would
longer
not
be
be
zoned. They
able
would
to.
have to apply to District 26. They would have to apply to wherever they wanted to apply to.
Oh, I got you. They would have to apply to a program at Bayside, a specific
They would have to
program.
apply to actual Bayside normally, and they don't have the zoning rights to get in there. So say I applied to 11 different programs and then I put Bayside as my last program. I didn't get into anything else. I would get into Bayside.
Right. Right. Because, but Bayside has like 20 different programs. Like I know people have put down every program at Bayside and then put the zone to last because their thought was, I'll get in at least under my
Correct.
zone.
Correct. But you know what? I could see the same thing happening to our district that happened years ago. Remember when we went middle school choice and then we became overcrowded and we said you can't go back and forth, and everybody all of a sudden said, what do you mean?
Panicked, right.
That's what's going to happen next January, just so you know.
Yep.
They're going to say, what do you mean?
But Bayside High School is not a District 25 school.
It
No,
is
it's a
not, but
District
there is-
26.
There is a zoning, there was a zoning section that was created way before anything, way before me. I started 25 years ago. I don't know how long. There's a section of Queens in District 25 that is zoned for District 26 high school.
Isn't 151, is it 159? The PS 159, that elementary school on the Clearview, that's District 25 still, right? Is that?
No, District
That's not
26.
us? Okay.
No.
It is. High schools are really big, and the zone is bigger because they
Right,
have
the zone's
5,000,
right.
3,000 kids. So that's why.
Well, yeah, because look at the zone for Flushing High School. That
It's all
goes,
over.
that goes into another
Mhm.
district as well.
And then where I live, I'm zoned for Bayside.
Right, and he lives in District 25.
Mhm.
What's
And
your
mine
District
also.
25 zone school, 107, Louis?
No, 184.
Oh, okay.
I
But
was
you're
zoned
zoned
for
for
Hillcrest.
Bayside High School still.
Yep.
So
And
yeah,
that-
it's that other side of the
It's the
boulevard.
north side, like where, like
Yeah.
PS 209, all that whole area goes to Bayside.
As does even Bay Terrace, right?
I think, yeah, even
Like that?
Bell.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that whole,
So the
And-
No high
question-
schools over there, except for the
that-
ones you can
what-
apply for.
Will
well,
that
that's why
now
Frankie's
change?
question about why don't we have more high schools in districts on the northeast side?
So what is not
Well, I
clear-
think, honestly, I think that's probably what created that zoning, because we don't have that many high schools.
Yeah.
Actually, we have no high schools on the north side of our district. So that's
No zone
probably why
ones,
they
no zone
created them.
ones.
And then I remember in the late 90s, that's when they started opening up some of the 6 to 12s to kind of fill that gap of high school seats. So
Right.
that's probably why we have that. And traveling out of certain areas such as, the College Point area, the Malba area, and all those things, to go further than
Hard.
it would be a travel
Mhm.
issue. So, I mean, it's up to you guys if you want to ask that question, but I do know that it would be something that,
It
once
would be
parents-
interesting. It would be interesting to hear her position, her thoughts on it. What's that,
I would just
don't
ask
think
if
the
that
community
is
understands
going
that
to
issue.
continue. Yeah, I would say is that what is, as a CEC, you might want to, I don't know if you have an opinion on it, or if it's up to you, but I do know that I was very clear to the community that this year it wasn't going to affect us, but next year.
And
it
I
is.
don't think that the community really understands the implications, because it wasn't going to take effect this year, right? So it's something that next year it's going to definitely come up.
Yeah, I don't think anybody paid attention to it because there was too much other stuff
Yeah.
happening in the forefront that this was just like, okay, it doesn't affect us. I
So
agree.
let's get the information from Juliana, so then we can tweak
You're
that
right.
question,
The
right?
one thing that does come up often that you guys might want to talk about is that There's always been complaints about transportation issues in our section of Queens, right? So it's not like a kid can hop on a train and get to a school easily, right? Or a bus. So, so you might want to say that just in terms of taking certain areas into consideration.
Okay. Good point. So let's leave that right there, right? Number 10. And then we have 11. What is that? Can we add this one? Why is it?
I
adding
don't think
stuff.
that's applicable now because
Is that what Rashmi, is that what you added on, Rashmi?
Yeah, I guess it was done on, I can't see, with
March 24th.
March 24th. So it kind of exactly is what's happening. I mean, even though the opt-in window is there, but parents are actually asking, and that's why by the time we meet, we may have clarity on this question also. Because parents are actually asking, what if 60%, like Danielle was saying, 60% of our district is remote. What if out of that 60, 20% comes back to take the test, or even 50%? Like
I
how
think
are
that's why
schools-
the window is so large.
Okay.
You know, that's normally it was a 2-day window, and then you had a couple of days to do makeups. The window is 10 days
Mm-hmm.
to kind of accommodate for that.
Okay.
So is this out or in? Out? Rashmi?
So it might be a mood issue by the time we have our town hall.
So
I mean, you could leave it on the burner, because I know a couple of parents have asked that, like, why are they opening so close to the state test? You might, you know, that see where I would leave that there and see where it takes you.
Yeah.
You don't always revisit it, you know.
But it's like a two-part question. So DOA planning on having no summers with this back and forth, you know.
Right, like
Their
we
question about summer
actually
school.
know, that's the thing, parents are asking even that time, that nobody knows exactly how this whole state test will pan out to begin with. Yes, it's on the schedule, it's there, schools have asked people to say yes to coming to take the test. But what if all these things come, what if there's an issue, what's happening? So, I mean, this question, you're right, can just get tweaked into something different, and it has not just one small sections, but like small little things from all over the place.
I mean, I could see, and Louis, I think the good question is, like, say day one, a school gets closed.
It's in the participation guide.
Yeah, that's in the guide.
It says basically that students will take it the next day they're back. And if for some reason schools close and no one takes it, they don't take the test.
Okay.
Yeah, I read through that today. The FAQ on that guide, right, Dr. Mike, is pretty good. Kind of answers all the questions.
Yeah, it answers those questions. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a coding thing. If not this, then that. If not that, this.
It basically says if
It's an FAQ.
schools
If
close,
this happens, then yes, yep.
Yep. Okay.
So that's we can leave it in there right now, this question 11, right?
Okay,
Is that all we have?
that's all we have.
All right, so we really need to add on to it, right? So I don't, there are definitely other questions out there. If we roll it out to the community, I think we'll get a couple more questions, depending on what happens in the news the next couple of days.
Mm-hmm.
You guys okay with that?
Yeah.
can we look at the original ones and see what else is on there? Maybe
So
there's,
that's gonna be on the link, right?
Mhm.
Which we're gonna get, what, tomorrow?
Louis sent it already.
I sent it to Carly and to you. I can't put it in the chat because it has like parent names and phone numbers.
Okay.
And I don't want to make it public, right?
Yeah, but Carly's gonna disperse it to all the CEC members, which she can do.
Yep.
Right? So you'll
Through
get
email,
it
through email.
tonight or tomorrow.
I'll send it after the
Email.
meeting.
I also sent the HIV/AIDS curriculum
You
I'll
sent that
email it
via
after the
email?
meeting.
to Carly and to you, and you
Okay.
can share it to
So we
everyone.
can look at that as well, right? All right, so we can move forward, right? So we're good with Carly, Juliana, you're okay with the deadlines? Carly, you'll follow up with Juliana, right? On the announcement for the
Yeah.
town hall. just to
Got
make
it.
sure that the deadline for parents to submit additional questions would be for, for us to consider would be May 5th, right? And this way, even if
May
something
5th.
comes on later, at least we gave notice to the community, we're going to look at it up until May 5th.
And you're gonna meet May 6th?
And since we have our touch base on Thursdays, then we should confirm that we're all meeting on the 6th, right?
I'm coming.
Okay. Okay.
Juliana, you on board?
Yeah, May 6th is good.
Okay. So guys, if you could put in your calendar to make sure that you would be available at that May 6th touch base so we can, work on the questions for the town hall. And then what we can do is we have our business calendar meeting on the 12th, so we can, tweak it a little bit more, which will be 6 days before the town hall, but questions will already be submitted, which is good. All right. Are there any other items of new business that anyone wants to bring up?
I think the only other thing, and I'm not sure if now's the appropriate time for it, but the special education subcommittee did have a request for a change to the bylaws. An update in relation to what the committee's been trying to ensure that District 25 special needs parents' needs are met. So we were hoping to include 2 small things into the bylaws that would make it an annual process to have dedicated meetings for towards IEP.
So what you're saying is that the special committee would like to bring on a vote to amend our bylaws and put into our bylaws that we would have a set calendar meeting during every year where we would discuss special needs and, put that on like we do for student funding and so on and so forth, SCA. This
Correct.
will be something that's mandated?
Correct.
Okay.
Right. It would ensure that there's always inclusion.
That's good progress. We would have to vote on that, right, Juliana? And I think we need to present that. If you want to do that, we need to present it during the calendar meeting.
Okay.
Yep, you have just enough time left in your term to amend your bylaws. You need a meeting next month to present it. Needs to be in writing on screen to the community and take comments. And then the following month, you can vote on it.
So, I mean, that would be something, if it happens, that would be nice to present to our chancellor, but it's not going to be able to happen in time, is what you're saying, Juliana. We can't vote on it during the May meeting.
No, you can't vote on it in May, but you can talk to her about it, about, how important that is to your council, that it's something that's on your June agenda.
Okay. So Anne Marie, I'm speaking to you because you're the spokesperson for the subcommittee right now. Akila's not here. So if you can report back to Akila, maybe you may want to meet and then present something to us during our May meeting. And then we will present it to the community and then we can vote on it in June.
Okay, sounds good.
You okay with that? I think that's good progress.
Yeah.
We also have this 10-year celebration. I know Lamar's not here, but it's a lot of work. How many, we have a lot of teachers, APs, and principals, right, that are up for tenure. How are we going to roll that out? So we really need to meet with Lamar in terms of how.
When you say how many are we talking? Danielle, do you have any idea?
Last year we did, I'm sorry, I'm just joining on my phone because they're kicking me out of Linden.
Yeah, actually, I was wondering why you were there.
Oh yeah, look at the time.
I was going to tell you any minute they're going to kick me out.
John called me before, complaining that people were there after 4.
Really? Too bad. We've got to go to work. So hold on.
We were over 40 at the last one. How many?
Basically, what we have to look for is we have to look at when we had the last event, and that from that moment to this moment.
Carly, you let me in? Wait, okay.
I already did.
Okay, thanks. All right. Hold on.
You're gonna echo because you're on two things.
Leave your office.
Yes,
Yeah,
you don't
just
want to be
mute
locked
one
into the
to get off.
building.
Yeah.
She logged out of the computer.
Leave the building, please.
She's
Exit the
logged out,
building.
but she's on
Please
mute.
exit now.
Can
Please
you
exit
unmute?
No,
now.
she'll like
They're
come
gonna
into a
shut the
hallway.
elevator and she's gonna get
Everything
stuck
will
in
be
the
dark.
elevator.
Yeah. She'll be trapped.
She's talking. She doesn't realize she's muted.
She'll have
Oh,
to.
no, yeah, thank you.
Oh.
I was talking to you guys. So depending upon like what we all decide, I mean, you know, Louis and I can gather that information, but it was about, Louis, what'd you say? Like over 150 people that, right?
Was it that many?
It's
I have to look.
actually a lot more. Not everybody came because remember it was live.
It was in person, right?
It might be different now. So we'll
Yeah,
let
it's
you
virtual.
know. Right. Well, I'm like, it's live. So we'll let you know exactly how many. But we have to do like outreach to each individual school, and then Louis generated a letter last time.
It's a lot of work because then we have to read off the names or at least present them on the screen, right? It's
And
like,
then we have to find assistant principals and guidance counselors and principals. So Louis and I.
I think last year, principals did that work though. They submitted the names of everyone that got tenure.
Yeah. So we can do outreach. We could send the survey and do that and send the letters. And then it would just be about how you guys would want to run it at your meeting.
so if we're going to read over 100 names, that might be very lengthy, right? We have to figure out how we're going to do this.
Well, maybe not read them. Maybe just like put it on
Post the names or
a
go by
slide.
school,
Yeah.
right. Well, there's nothing for them to walk up to a stage, but you really don't want to just, we need to somehow figure out celebration. I would have Lamar comment. He brought it up, right? If the superintendent wants to comment about congratulating them, I can comment. You guys, if you want to say something also, and we can do it that way as a big group effort and then show the names, right?
Yeah.
We could do that. I mean, you could also rotate and each of you read a certain number of names. Up to you.
Okay, so the thing is, we are going to meet on our touch base again. So we're putting a lot on our agenda here, right? So aside from the town hall, we were going to have to discuss also this tenure
Okay,
thing.
when is
This
the,
could be
okay,
fast.
I have another question so the tenure thing would be when?
May 13th, May,
At the May meeting.
The May,
Okay.
was it 12th? May 12th.
Okay, and then are we still doing our June end of year thing?
We don't have anything planned for June because we don't have enough time, right? So, and we're not doing,
So we're not doing our awards thing that we do every year?
We never even coordinated that. We're not.
Well,
gonna have time.
that's why I was like confused.
Yeah, because we're having our town hall May 18th. 2-3 weeks later, we're having our June meeting. So we're going to have to figure out what's on the agenda for June, but we're definitely not going to have time to do an award ceremony. How are we going to roll that out to the community?
Well, that's why I was wondering. I didn't know where we were. That's why I was kind of.
Yeah. I mean, we could push the 10-year celebration to June, but we already announced that we were going to hold it in May, right?
I mean, the tenure, they pretty much did most of the work. We was just like the platform.
So let's just keep the tenure for May as we originally planned. And then worry about June. We'll figure out what we're going to do on June because we really don't have anything planned for June, correct? Other than perhaps the vote on amending the bylaws as Anne-Marie suggested with the special subcommittee. And then we can do some type of closure celebration. But we have time to work on that. We can discuss that at our next business meeting.
Joe, may I?
Go ahead.
Okay, go.
So I'm sorry, I didn't want to interrupt anybody. Who was that? Was that Juliana who raised her hand?
Yes, I'm sorry, but I'll wait until after council member.
Okay, was that Rashmi that commented? I don't see you, Rashmi. Are
No,
you here?
it was me. no, it was me, Danielle. I didn't, is
Oh.
Anne Marie still here? 'Cause
I'm still
Anne
here.
Marie, yeah, Carly sent me something about the special ed subcommittee that you wanted something else in June.
Honestly, I'd have to touch base with Tequila on that. I really can't speak for sure. And I don't want to say the wrong thing, so.
Okay.
So we still have time to plan our June meeting, right?
You'll need
we
to
have
vote
a-
on your superintendent evaluation in June.
We have to do that as well. So, we can fill in the time.
Juliana, did we get I didn't get that yet. Did that roll out already?
It's, you know what, maybe it doesn't have this year's dates on it, but it's not changing from last year. The content isn't changing.
But that happens during the business meeting, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Honestly,
Closed meeting. It's not-
most councils go into executive session
Right.
if they want to make any discussions about, the specific rating, and then the voting can definitely happen during your business session. And the next phase training is on the evaluation on April 26th.
So how is that going to happen in June? I'm a little confused.
No, the phase training about the superintendent evaluation.
Oh, okay, that's April 26th.
Yes.
Understood. All right, so then we can, because we usually do that in executive session. That's what I'm saying. I don't recall ever doing it as part of a public meeting.
Sorry, Joe, you were calling me. I'm sorry.
No, Rashmi, I thought you were commenting. I thought you had a question or something. I didn't see you.
Oh, okay.
I heard
No,
I heard
no,
you
no,
saying
no.
yeah. Right. So look, we'll look into about that for June anyway. But I think we can find things to do for June. We need to focus on our town hall, which is more, and our main meeting right now, right?
Yep.
Okay. Juliana, your hand is still raised. Did you have to comment on something?
So sorry, I meant to lower it.
Okay. All right. So
And Louis and I will start working on the May tenure meeting. Celebration.
okay, I mean, I'll work with you guys, and if anyone in the council wants to participate and be involved, just let us know, let Carly know, and we'll keep you in the loop on that, right? But I definitely think we should, Lamar raised it. I think we need to have him get involved as well. Right? Okay. So are there any other items of new business to discuss? Good. Does anybody have any comments? We're good?
Anne Marie, my daughter is here. She loves cat. Can you show her? Can you show the cat again? She's such a cat lover.
Constantine?
Just don't show the butt.
I'll get a cat for you. Hold on.
Yeah, get a cat. She
Yeah,
loves.
Louis, get one of the kittens. That last kitten was adorable. If I didn't have 2 mutts, I would get a kitten.
I know. You should never gotten the dogs.
I know Rocco and Gunnar would eat the kitten.
Oh wow.
They chase the stray kittens across the street when I take them out. Look at her. Oh my
They're
god.
so cute, Black.
Oh my gosh. Okay, your kitten cuteness tops my Constantine cuteness.
No,
Listen, they all start out like this. They all do. This is Tony the tiger with the Tony with an eye.
I like Tony.
How old is Tony?
Oh, see, Rocco's
9
barking.
weeks.
Just talking about a cat and
How
Rocco
old,
starts
Louis? 9
barking.
weeks?
Tony is 1 month, 3 days.
Okay.
Wow.
Oh no, that's not right. Hold on, wait. I have to refresh this page. She's older now. 1 month, 6 days.
Oh wait.
So
Cute.
she's almost 5
Okay.
weeks.
All right, you win. You win.
And are those the ones from Flushing that you rescued?
Yeah, these are from Flushing. They're from by the Long Island Railroad and on Main Street.
Oh my God! Is it from where the fireplace is? The firehouse?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of cats there. Oh my God, that's so cute.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
See, when I worked at the zoo, I was constantly bringing stuff home. So my husband's glad that I've changed professions because now I've limited it to 3 animals in the house. Before that, it was getting a little out of control.
What do you have? 2 dogs and a cat?
I have
I'm
2
past
cats
that.
and a dog.
Yeah, I'm past out of control.
I want to
I
ask
have
Louis how
2
many
dogs and 2 kids.
So back to business. So save the date, April 26th, FACE CEC training on superintendent evaluation. Save that date. Juliana, you're here. I know there's some of our CEC members are running for re-election. There was,
I'm
we
sorry,
get a
that
bunch
looked
of
like my
emails.
cousin.
So cute, that one too.
Oh my
Regarding,
God, it looks like Quentin too when he was sorry, Joe. I'm sorry, Joe.
Okay.
It's all Louis' fault. That's what my baby looked like when he was little. You give him me. I want to get.
Joe's gonna get upset.
No, I don't care.
All right, I'll come back with the can in a minute. I'll come back in a minute.
So just because I wanted to touch base on that. Juliana, are you there? You here?
Yep.
Okay,
Here I
so
am.
I know I get a lot of emails, right? So I know there was something for candidate night that's on for April. Is there something that the candidates need to register with in order for them to speak at the President's Council?
No, candidates will receive a panelist link in an email from the elections team. So panelists, anyone who's a candidate will be a panelist at the Zoom candidate forum, and they will have a unique link to use to get on so that they have the ability to share their camera and to speak.
So how is that going to be rolled out? In other words, we have like 35 people running, right? So are they going to give the opportunity to all 35 candidates to speak and then answer questions? How does that work?
Correct. Correct.
So every President's Council will run this a little bit differently, but generally speaking, all candidates will need to have the same amount of time to answer the same questions. And so depending upon the forum is generally limited to an hour and a half, perhaps 2 hours at a time. And the President's Council will try to adjust the time allotted to each candidate based upon how many candidates actually show up the night of. But it's up to the President's Council.
So is that Rashmi's? Rashmi,
No.
you're here, right?
So
No,
No, I'm running, so I'm staying out of it. I
the
don't
people
know
that
what's going on.
Joe, the people that are going to be your hosts for that evening are Christine, Eleni, and Francis. They're the ones that are going to be running the CEC forum at President's Council. They attended a meeting and they told them what needs to be done and how they're going to handle the candidates and everything.
So they'll take the floor and they'll manage the meeting that day.
Correct. So you'll have they'll welcome everybody. Then after the welcome, they'll go ahead and I guess every candidate has, I don't know exactly the time, so don't a certain amount of minutes to introduce themselves, and then they'll go ahead and ask questions of the candidates, and each person will have the same amount of time. So if everybody gets a minute or 2, I don't know. They're doing all the logistics now.
Understood. Okay, so just that the candidates understand, they will be getting something to register for that meeting. It's not that they have to do something.
You're just going to get a link. You're already registered.
Yes, because you're a candidate, you're going to get a link to come on.
Yeah, you're going to get instructions. You're not going to do anything.
Instructions the day of or a couple of days before.
I'm pretty sure that the CEC, the FACE and CEC, they're like busy doing others. I'm pretty sure as the dates get closer, you'll get all the information.
Got it. Okay.
So can I ask you, is everyone appearing the same night, or is it broken up over a couple
Our
of
district,
nights? The amount?
our district only has one night. Other districts have 2 nights, but we only have one night, which will be on the 19th.
Okay.
Well, other districts are also seeing, and Juliana can comment on this, but like not all the candidates that applied to run for CECs in other districts are showing up to speak. So we have 35, but we might only get 20 to speak, so.
Even in the past, when we were in person, we wouldn't have everybody show up. So
yeah, I was just going to say that I don't think I've ever been at one where every person.
Yeah, Juliana says yes. I haven't watched any other districts,
I watched
Wait,
District 7.
Are you watching
Sorry.
75? How was that?
I watched District 75 and they had it broken up over 2 nights. And the
Yeah.
second night they had technical issues. So
Oh.
you only got to see a couple of candidates and then the screen went out and then you got like a technical difficulty screen and you had to go back, watch the recording.
Wow.
What
Hopefully
portion
that
they had.
doesn't happen at this district, you know.
And they had also, which I thought was really curious, they did not ask the same question to every candidate, which I
So
thought was
that's according to the
President's Council?
President's Council. They decide if they want to ask the same question to the candidates or move. They have a list of questions that they could go ahead and alternate. So not everybody gets the same question. It's totally up to them.
Right.
Yeah.
Understood. Okay.
Some districts like to mix up the questions so that way, you know, not everybody's answering the same thing. So it depends.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, the one just throwing this out there. So the one question that stood out from that meeting is some of the people got some really detailed questions with detailed answers. And this one particular woman got asked if she had ever collaborated with the CEC or school district in the past. And her answer was no. And that's literally all she got to say.
Wow.
That was her question and that was her answer. And I was like, that doesn't seem very fair because she didn't really get to give a statement of anything of about herself or her position, because the question was, have you ever collaborated with the CEC before? And no. So that's why I was asking about the different questions, because if you get a question that doesn't really give you anything to say of yourself, it's a little unbalanced.
I'll make sure to bring that up to the girls.
Esther, are these candidates going to be given to say like a little something about themselves and then ask the question?
It's my understanding that they get to introduce themselves. So if you have 2 minutes, you get to introduce yourself, you know, read
Within
your
your 2-minute
statement,
time frame, right?
read your statement that you wrote, or, you know, write a new one.
Gotcha. Okay.
Most of the candidates already issued statements, so
Yeah.
I'm sure. And that goes on, it follows towards the vote. In other words, when people vote, they'll see the statement.
And they're online right now.
Yeah, they get to read your statement, but when you want to introduce yourself, you might just want to do highlights or add more, or, you know,
Elaborate.
read that.
Okay. Did Danielle leave the building safely?
Yeah, but I'm here. I'm here.
You're out of the building?
What exit are you at?
Were we concerned you were stuck in the elevator?
Oh my God, if I was stuck in the elevator, you would have heard it.
So you're out of the building, right?
Yeah.
Good, okay.
Are you on
All
the
right.
highway? Or do you have hands-free on? Are you driving safely?
I am. I have all of those things.
Good.
Yes to all.
All right, so I think is there anything else? I think we're good, right? Emery, you'll just touch base with Aquila regarding that special, you know, because that's stuff that's for our next meeting.
Sure.
And Anne-Marie, let me know.
The other thing.
No, let me know. Yeah, about it. Yeah, that email.
Yes, I will.
So you're referring to if the special subcommittee wants to do something for our June meeting, correct? Other than the vote.
Right. But I'm not sure of Aquila's position on that. So I would just want to, I don't want to
keep us in the loop. I mean, we would need to know it by our May business meeting what you guys want to do, right?
Right. I know the biggie was the bylaws.
Okay.
So
you'll work on that with the subcommittee. Definitely bring it up. I'll ask you guys to bring it up during the calendar meeting, and then we can do the vote in June.
Sounds good.
All right, Carly, you're good?
I'm good.
Okay.
Joe, this is Juliana. Is anyone getting questions about voting? Has everyone seen that there are some proposed changes to D-140 about number of votes? Is that old news to everyone?
What are we talking about?
So right now, every parent gets 1 vote per eligible child. Or parents get 1 vote per eligible child.
You're talking about CC elections, I'm sorry, right? You're talking with the CC elections, correct?
Yes, because we were talking about candidate forums.
So we did have a discussion about it. I'm assuming people know about, are aware of it.
Okay, very good.
Are you
Very good.
suggesting that, I mean, do we bring this up at our next calendar meeting? This is something President's Council should address to the community, no?
It's going to be voted on by PEP on April 28th. And so I just wanted to make sure that in case anybody wants to put that on their calendar, when you go to vote in the CEC elections from May 1st through May 11th, you may be able to cast 3 votes per eligible child if the PEP votes in favor of this change. I can send you the specific proposed change in the language of D140. I can send that to everyone over email.
Okay.
So, Juliana, wait, currently is it 1 vote? And
Yeah,
then
right now,
changing
it's 1 vote right now.
Yeah.
And
One
at the
vote per
training-
child.
At the training that we had, all our PCs are standing by to see what's the outcome on that day. And then they would notify our parents if they're going to have 1 vote or they're going to have more than 1. So we're just waiting to hear what the results are on that day.
Can I ask, why would they have more than 1 vote? What's the logic behind that?
1 vote per
You know,
kid.
I'm not exactly sure about the logic behind it, Christine. I know it was proposed by there's an election working group, and I believe it came from somebody on the working group, and I know that there's you know, throughout the history of these elections, there has sometimes been an ask to have more votes because we're electing 9 people to a council. So, you know, I know
okay,
that that's
so kind of like,
In other words, it's not 1 person, 1 vote per person. Each person would vote up to 3 candidates, correct?
right, that's what thank you, Joe. I couldn't
Yes.
get the words out.
Would
yes,
it be
exactly.
would it be 3
you could
per
vote for 3 candidates, and if you have 2 children, you could vote for those same 3 candidates twice, or
Okay,
you
so
could
technically,
vote for 6 candidates.
so but technically you can't say, if you have 3 kids, you can't put all your 3 votes for Juliana Fedorov. You would have to pick 3 individual candidates.
If you have 1,
If I have 3 kids,
yes,
and I would get 3 votes.
Correct.
I would get 3 votes.
Correct.
So I get to pick 3 individual people. I can't say I want to vote 3 times for Juliana.
I
That's
think
right.
you can't. I would have to check, but if Juliana knows more.
It's a tricky question.
Right, like because I know in the past, but so in the past when it was PTA presidents and everybody like that, you did get to pick more than 1 candidate. I remember a few years back, right, Esther? I'm not crazy.
Well, before the way the CEC elections were held, with only the core members, meaning the president, secretary, and treasurer of each PTA would get to vote, and each of them would have 3 votes each.
Right.
And so
Gotcha.
those people were the only ones. They would get an email,
right. So, but
into the mail with a special code where they would log on and vote, and each of them, president, treasurer, and secretary, would have 3 votes each to vote whoever they wanted to vote.
Right, but we could not vote. We had to vote for 3 separate people. That's what I'm saying. Like when I went into it and there was all the 35 candidates, once I clicked on Joe DiBenedetto, I was not eligible to vote for Joe DiBenedetto again. I had to find 2 other people to vote for.
Yeah, and I think that it is different this time around because your votes are tied to your child's NICSA profile. So like Christine, I want to get confirmation, but I think that you can vote if you have 3 children. I think you can vote for the same I know you can vote for the same candidate multiple times because you're voting on individual NICSA profile.
Right, I get that, right. But so here I'm voting on my son Angelo. My question is, I want to vote. Do I have to pick Joe DiBenedetto and I don't know whoever else is running, and Brooke and Anne Marie? do I have to pick 3 individuals, or can I say, oh, you know what? I want to put my 3 votes for Brooke.
Well, I
No,
think
you
that
have to
Joanne-
pick 3 individuals. You have
That's
one
what- okay.
child, 3 different people under
Right.
that one child.
So then when I go to my other son, Frankie, I would have to do the same thing, 3 individual votes. But I can vote because it's technically a new ballot. I
Correct.
can vote for those same.
Correct.
I think
That's
that's
right.
where the confusion lies. With the difference, the number of voting. It's basically 3 votes. I'm going to vote 3 times for, Juliana.
Right. Yeah. Like this, it really will change things depending upon how the PEP votes.
So if the way it is now without the PEP voting is 1 parent, 1 vote, even if, so
No,
there's 9.
it's not
One
the
child,
parent,
1 vote.
it's a child. It's
I'm
the
sorry,
children.
one child, 1 vote, exactly.
Right.
Sorry.
1 child, 1 vote.
So if you're
So-
a parent that has 3 kids, you vote 3 times.
But you could vote for the same person. all 3
Yes,
times.
because you're 3 individual ballots. You have to, like, I'm thinking of it in electoral ballots, like for,
Yes.
right, like that for public office. I mean, you know what I mean, Joe? Like for, presidential
You're working
ballots.
for a public, yeah, exactly. You're working for Valone, you know the deal.
Right.
It doesn't
It's
work that way.
3 individual ballots. So you can vote on each ballot for whoever you want. Right. Like that's it.
So whatever the outcome is on the 28th, I'm sure Carly and all our PCs and all our district will be informed.
You know what's going to be funny though, when you look at the numbers now, like look at our numbers in the past when we've had our elections, you've had people that have had like 38 votes and 40 votes and 12 votes. Now your numbers are going to be like astronomically higher. Like
Well, you need to make sure that they vote. What if parents don't
well,
vote?
right. I mean, yeah, I know. It's just like working for a political person. Get out there and vote. You got to get your.
We're gonna do a push with our PCs to get people to vote. We did a big push to get the account set up. I mean,
Right.
we're second in the city. Yeah.
So
Esther
right
did
now,
a great job.
we're right now when it comes to NYC school accounts, we're number 2. District 26 is beating us, but I mean, they're first. We're
is up
number
with
2,
that?
but our PCs are doing an amazing job, and we'll do the same thing to push the votes. I mean, we can't tell them who to vote for, but we'll tell their parents to please
to get out there and
access
vote. Right.
NYC school accounts and to please, vote. That's what,
Understood. Good.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting to see how many it's going to be different because like you said, Christine.
Yeah, like you're
could be
talking at major
34.
numbers.
Yeah.
I mean, last year it was, I think the top vote was 38 or 39.
2 years ago, yes.
Right. Yeah. And now you're looking at, that could be, 3,800.
Yeah.
Yeah. You are awesome, Esther. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Esther. It's incredible what you've lifted in the district.
Well,
It's
it's
really
not me, it's the PCs and all of us together and Lewis and Jinmei who help, so we're a team.
I didn't
It's
do
those
anything.
it's those strong roots.
Yeah.
And me being crazy.
Yeah, and Danielle going crazy about it.
No comment.
It's all about the competition.
Yeah, well, I don't know how you're letting District 26 beat
Well,
us.
we're trying, Christine. We're really trying. We're pushing. Jinmei and I are pushing.
Actually, I want to say, a couple of weeks ago, we were number 7 in the district. So Esther and the PCs have really done a great job. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah. Went from 7 to 2.
That's among all the boroughs, so all 5 of them. So we're doing well.
That's great. Okay, looking forward to seeing what happens.
Yeah, just if you talk to any parents, just ask them to make sure that they are signed up for their NYC school accounts, please. And if they haven't, to reach out to their parent coordinator.
Perfect. Thank you, Esther, again. Thank you, Juliana. It's 9:27. Do we have any other items to discuss, or do I have any motions to adjourn our meeting?
My camera was on all along. It wasn't. Oh, well.
Motion to adjourn. Nobody else is going to say it. I will say
Christine,
it.
motion to adjourn.
It's too early.
It's too
Eddie,
early.
bite your tongue, Eddie.
Did somebody second?
Second.
Thank you, Eddie. All right, guys. So, thank you again for this evening. It's a pleasure to work with you guys. We're doing well. Look forward to seeing you next
May
Thursday,
3rd.
correct?
Oh, next Thursday.
And Juliana will send the
See you all
link,
then.
and we'll see you all then. Have a wonderful evening, everyone. Enjoy the
Have a great
spring.
night, everyone.
Good
Good
night.
night, everybody.
Good
Thank
night,
you.
everyone.
Good night.
Night. Carly,
Get
can
home
you
safe,
just send
Juliana.
that? Carly, send that link, please.
Meeting's over, Chris. Meeting's over.
In the email. she sent
Shush. With the questions.
it. Yes.